All right, so welcome to Travel by Haiku. This is a book release, book launch party, LA launch party for this new book, Travel by Haiku, volumes 6 through 10, Far Out on the Road with Friends. If you haven't seen it before, I'm really excited to take you on this amazing journey that is this book. It's a collaborative haiku journey across the country, written about by 6 authors, me being one of them. And how it works is there's 5 different sections. There's travel fiction that's mixed in within the haikus as well. And the haikus were written by Augustus Depenbrock, Cameron Christopher Stuart, Stephanie Beattie, Shane Donnelly, Tara Lynn Faith Williamson, and myself, Marshall Deerfield. And basically what we did is we went on a few road trips together and, really explored, the outdoors, the natural world that we live in. And one by one, we would take a line or take a notebook and pass it around. Each of us would write a line. And a haiku is typically it's 3 lines. In the American tradition, it's you pay attention to the syllables, and it's 5-7-5 syllables. And yeah, we would just pass the notebook around and find words from like the beautiful landscapes passing us by in the outdoor outside the window of the car, or the beautiful landscapes that we were hiking through on these in these national parks that we visited. The first section takes the reader to West Texas, and explores Big Bend National Park, as well as Martha and a couple other like ghost towns. Terlingua is one of them. The third section, which is more collaborative haikus, takes you to up and down the West Coast from Los Angeles, where we are co-hosted today, and up to Seattle, Washington. And then the last section is a journey from Taos, New Mexico, where I called home for a while, up to Glacier National Park, following the Rocky chain as we get there. Yeah, and it's like a beautiful journey. We're going to share a few different interpretations today of like kind of the experience. I feel like the haiku form is a fun form in that it really like encourages a reader to kind of get lost. And maybe find themselves between the syllables or between the lines. Maybe find something beautiful to bring home with them. And so, yeah, I'm excited for us to like kind of see it progress tonight as like a journey, a collective journey that we all go on in this virtual world. So you're going to see performers that are from all over the country. A lot of them centered in Los Angeles, but also here on the East Coast. I'm tuning in from Philadelphia. And I guess the idea is that, the book kind of celebrates not only like the natural world, but the community that you find on the road. So I feel like the performers that have been curated tonight will, take you to places in the natural world, as well as their personal experiences that are really fun and beautiful and exciting. So yeah, I'm Marshall James Cavanaugh, or Marshall Deerfield. I'll be your main MC tonight. If it's your first time on Zoom, and you haven't found the chat yet, you can scroll down to the bottom and click the chat button. And then you can see people are introducing themselves and typing in where they're tuning in from and what brought them here tonight. I see Leslie Adler says that Kendra's her daughter, and then she's tuned in for that. I'm excited for Word is Movement. That'll be a performance later. We have John Brantingham performing tonight. We also have Holly Zilmer, or Zimbert, sorry. And let's see, Kendra Adler will be performing Word is Movement. We have Rowan, Vanskyver, Killian, who's going to be performing in a few minutes, and Lance Robotson tuning in from Austin, Texas. Erin C. White and Ethan Foote have performed a movement piece as well. So it's going to be exciting tonight. Yeah, I guess I'm going to hand over the mic to Gus Depenbrock, who's hosting us from Los Angeles in Chinatown. from Tomorrow Today Bookstore. So yeah, Gus, I'd love if you could tell us a little bit about Tomorrow Today.
Hi guys, welcome to Tomorrow Today. We're here in Chinatown on Sunman Way in Central Plaza. So I'm longtime friends with Marshall. We've thrown a couple shows together, and I just recently moved out here to LA and started this bookstore with my partners about a year ago. And our original purpose for the bookstore was to like have a bookstore and a community space where people bookstore with my partners about. Am I getting a little feedback? Yeah, let me use these. I'm just gonna switch microphones because I was getting a little feedback through the feed. Okay, I think that should be better. Yeah, we started the bookstore, and the original purpose was to create a community space where people could gather, and we could partner up with different organizations and help like launch their programs and just create a space for them to gather. I'm gonna take you guys through the bookstore real quick. We have a Rizzo press, and we print these posters for different organizations we team up with. We also print some t-shirts, like excerpts from some books that we carry. And then here's sort of the front of the shop. We moved in here in October. This is my partner in the store, Jeff. He's the one who runs the press a lot. You want to tell them about like some of the stuff, work you do?
Yeah, so we print mostly like 11 by 17 posters for different groups, or sometimes just causes that we feel attached to, or different group campaigns. Like
right now, or with
well, right now we have our community partners that we donate 10% of our proceeds to, or actually all of our sales, 10% of all of our sales to a group called Solidarity and Snacks, who started distributing food at Persa over this past summer, and now do mutual aid with unhoused community members in like on Skid Row here in LA. And then we've also done printing for groups like No Olympics LA, LA Tenants Union. We recently printed some campaign posters for left-wing slate for nearby neighborhood council neighborhoods. So that was a fun project, and they all won, so that was really cool. And yeah, and then, we try to have the book also tie into kind of connecting to kind of left-wing politics and art and propaganda.
And here's some of our wall of books over here. The table we got, this little overview of our store here in Central Plaza in Chinatown in LA. We're at 973 Sunman Way. Really excited to be doing this book release with Marshall. This is our first one, and it's cool to be doing it kind of like at the shop and via Zoom. It's pretty wild. What else? I guess, that's all the info about the shop. I'll give it back to you, Marshall.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Gus. Thank you for introducing us to the shop. For everyone that's tuning in, we're going to be live. We're live here, but we're also in the physical realm at the bookstore. They got a little projection going on. So this whole show is going to be broadcasted live out on the plaza. And we'll be going back to the store in about 45 minutes to see Kendra's performance, or I guess a half hour to see Kendra's performance live in front of the store. So yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting time as a performer to be kind of interacting in these spaces on the web. I'm excited that we're kind of doing a hybrid version where we're in person and also able to be all across the continent together on this journey. So yeah, I guess let's get on the road. I'm excited for all these performers tonight. We're gonna get started with Marion Mclaughlin, who's an artist from Baltimore. She's a multi-instrumentalist, poet, and recently she's been doing a lot of like puppets and what are called crankies, which is like a sort of like old-fashioned animation. It's basically a cranked screen that you roll out a moving canvas that shows a motion picture. This is like a performance style that was used in the olden days in the traveling circuses of the old times of performers. So she has created a little cranky for Travel by Haiku, which I'm excited to share with you, and I'll be popping up right now. So yeah, thank you. For everyone who's tuning in, feel free to sit back, find a place comfortable. We're gonna go on the road together. This is gonna be quite a journey mixed with live performances, video, and even some music. So here's this cranky about Travel by Haiku, performed by Marion Mclaughlin.
Adventure waits. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Let your dreams take hold. Enchanted roadways, highways into concrete soul. The desert widens. The mysticism of now, trapped forever in desert paradise. Mountains meet desert, the four corners intersect, valley of sunshine. Silence of desert, empty open universe, space beyond the void. The Milky Way glows brighter. The longer you look at it, the later it gets. The moon blowing a kiss in the clouds, she shines through. Spring found in a field of tulips growing beside the Baltimore highways. What will the legend of Majika be after all the travels are over?
Feel free to share your snaps in the comments. I'm gonna read a little excerpt from Travel by Haiku. So as I said before, this is a collection of haiku, but it also has some travel fiction. This is from the travel fiction section of the book. Well, Gus and I ford the Rio Grande and enter into Mexico. We follow the donkeys and pick up trucks into town, braving the 90-degree hot sun heat, and end up in a bar that is a little beyond the other two more touristy restaurants. I step up to the bartender and I order 2 beers and 2 shots of tequila, and all 7 other people in the bar go quiet. I can feel their stares as the bartender pours our shots and serves our beers. Gus squeezes lime around the rim of his can of Tecate and sprinkles salt on the back of his balled up fist. All eyes are on us as we cheers our shots and down them. I stumble back and Gus lets out a yelp, and then everyone yells and rushes forward to pat us on our shoulders. I turn to the guy sitting next to me and say, "Salud!" And he nods his head and he runs out the door. And the next thing you know, he's driving up to the front door of the bar in a Dodge Caravan, and there's a whole mariachi band, all with sombreros, spilling out of it and into the bar, and they're serenading us, singing loudly, and we're ordering more shots and more beers, this time for everyone. And then the local cowboy comes by, and we're all riding donkeys, and the Sierra del Carmen is glowing red in the late afternoon sun. The two other Americans in the bar come over and tell me, well, I guess you two really brought the party. The whole town is there, and we're feeling quite glad. All right. So continuing on this journey, our next performer is Cameron Christopher Stuart. He's also a writer that's featured in this book. He was born in Florida and now lives in New York City. He often collaborates with various mirror selves, including Seraphic Romance Rots Truth and Glam Ren Stupid Art. He's a clown, as they say. So yeah, during our journey, he was also working on an album that was just released in March. And this is a track from that album with songs that were written from Taos, New Mexico on the way to Glacier National Park. Thank you, Cameron. That was beautiful. I feel like that moon deserves a little bit of a howl. Feel free to drop your or unmute yourself and let out a howl to that moon. I know the sun's still up. That was great. Thank you. I love collective howls. It's really good to feel connected. Yeah, so we're gonna keep traveling, keep moving on, keep going on this journey. Our next performer is tuning in from Venice, California. Their name's Rowan Vanskyver Killian. He's a 10-year-old poet from Venice, California. Regularly enjoys karate, skateboarding, and bacon. Rowan originally started writing as a method to help himself fall asleep at night, and eventually came up with titles that he listed in a small notebook. His poems flow from these titles and send the reader into his world. His poem Heal Your Wounds was published in December of 2020 in a self-published poetry compilation called Poetic Medicine in the Time of the Pandemic. So yes, we'd love to hear from you, Rowan.
Hi, I'm Rowan, and I picked out a couple poems to read right now. I'm going to start it off with a haiku that I wrote a couple years ago. It's called I Am Never Me. I am never me. You are me today, but not the best of them all. So that's the haiku right there. And then let's go to the next one. Truth or reality. Thoughts ruin the mind when they are thunk too hard. Magic flies this way and that. When the pencil breaks, the mind goes free. Restrictions are limited, but so are we. Hide within and think till your mind bursts into a million stars. Or into a billion stars, each as bright as the sun. When stars come and the black holes leave, you will be happy. The darkness of many can destroy a soul. A wandering soul does no good in darkness nor in heaven. Reality strives to be true, but creativity rules over all. Go out on your own and find the truth. Whatever it may be, find the real truth. And then I go to another one. Think through theories. Okay, the world is flat. Asteroid extinctions. Real life animation. Government aliens. Intergalactic notebooks. Mining monkeys. Green apes. Robot stuff. Yellow board. Pirate treasures. True horoscopes. Fake gods. Edible cars. Jumping trees. Farting jump ropes. 7 happy sins. 50 stars. Pool celebrities. Underground ships. Berserk pilots. Hated gorillas. Carnivorous books. Famous bananas. Killer projectors. Party pointing pencils. Spy computers. Swahili speaking cabinets. Living raptors. Omnivore gigantopithecus. And that's that one. Think your theories. Let's do only do what is needed. I wrote this one a couple of years ago. Only do what is needed if what is truly needed. Only do what is truly needed if what is needed is important in the way needed to know what and how to do what is completely required by the all-knowing who do truly do only what is physically needed to completely be ready for what is to come. Kind of a tongue twister. Hard to say. Shifting sands. Shifting sands, rhyming bands. The world sees fit the overriding wit of the ones without hands. But look at the shifting sands and find the grain that knows your name. It will find what you seek. But say the world is born anew. Then you must look for the largest grain and ask it what is the question to your answers. The answers found below our feet. The answers of the shifting sands.
Do you have time for one more?
Yeah. Where to wander, what to wonder. Where to honor, what to wonder, all very great and defining questions. But when spoken wrong, one may be destroyed in the ancient wonders of the vast and endless seas of eternity, in the waterfalls of the beyond. None are worthy of wondering, but some perfect for wandering till you are stuck, staying within the said places of everything. And this is the last one I'm going to do. It's called Nobody Knows. When the sun goes extinct, so will we. Nobody knows but me. Thoughts can haunt your soul forever, but never mind the ball and the tether. It will destroy. Nobody knows the thoughts in your head, not even you. But when you tame the dream, it will be aligned to your own face, the face in front. When you go to space to align the planets, the world that is unknown will fill your thoughts, but never will you know what it is. When you figure out the one mystery, you are true. But if not, you are not you. Find the true meaning of everything and the true meaning of nothing to finally become yourself. Or not. But I do not know, and neither do you. Whether you think you are or you think you aren't, you decide your own fate, not me. That's it.
Thank you. That was awesome, Rowan. Thank you so much. Those really took us into these deep thought constructs. I loved it. That was amazing. Rowan and Darcy, please post in the chat like where people can find more of Rowan's work. I'd love to see if you could you can post the link for the book that just came out with Rowan's writing. That was such an awesome trip. So yeah, our next performer is Holly Zimbert, originally from Los Angeles. She's currently living on a very small and remote island off the coast of Massachusetts. She enjoys writing poetry, songwriting, and often gets lost in the sensation of digital photography. She continues to dive deeper into the written word and is intrigued by stripping down of her creative process and identity in the woods. Holly, I'd love to hear from you and allow you to introduce your piece. You have a little video that's lined up for us, taking us to the remote island that you are currently living.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of, and thank you everyone for tuning in. It's really exciting to see familiar faces on the screen. And Rowan, wow. So I am currently living on a really small island called Cuttyhunk. It's off the coast of Massachusetts, and it's a place with not a lot of options, but a tremendous amount of possibilities. And so coming from Los Angeles, which is a place filled with options and what feels like little to no possibility at times, it's been very interesting. And it's also a place where you're kind of removed from society in a bit. So in terms of diving into one's creative process or identity, it's very interesting to not feel that you're being influenced or witnessed by society. And it's been really refreshing and exciting, and it's sometimes scary to see what comes up within my own creativity and own identity, and how it seems to share that must be kind of like fueled by the behavior on the screen, much like this Zoom call. And I'm so fascinated by kind of like the sharing of self on the screen. So my poetry that I'm sharing, the video I sent you, is kind of a reflection of that, the intimacy within self, the intimacy within thoughts, but how it all lives in this device that each of us carries with us close to our person, and how the consumption of our own art can be reshared, reviewed endlessly, followed, liked, whatever. And if that fuels the creative process or stunts it, I'm unsure. So that's the lead in there.
All right, let's see what you made for us.
Thank you.
I'm only homesick when I head into someone else's city. Treat a bench like a body. imagine myself stubbing my toe on a sprinkler head. Sprinklers exist. Water didn't always just fall from the sky. I cross the open ocean to see you. I sit at the helm and watch debris from yesterday's shipwreck bob and weave against the wake of the boat. Debris soon to be salvaged. I am feeling hot. I am feeling sunken. I am feeling you may look to me to scavenge or set sail. Well, I have no appraisal for your weakened heart. I have no ideas in mind. Just breathing and being aware of how everything seems to get water damage over time. The natural stimulants and current is surging here on the island, and I cannot help but transcend further into my being. The pause of the rabbit is the in-between beat of my own heart. The hefty bumblebee landing on the lawn's wild clover seems to be that of impossible endeavor, not only to balance, but feast and fill from. And then you have the improv of the wind touching everything with orchestra. Hues of the light blue hydrangeas dance a cotillion of majesty toward me. Big hands of floral excellence. The weather is perfect right now. The air is tender. When have I ever felt I'm receiving tenderness in literally the air I breathe? I set my gaze forward and look to the perfection of the Atlantic horizon. I hear the pulling of the tide mirrored with the graphite from my pencil, pulling down and into the very fibers of this paper. The very fiber of this paper, me. Bird, you know your voice sounds like a bell. Chime me a song of spirit. Lend me your best prayer. May I face myself toward the sun as you do, and sing, and sing, and sing. I have decided. I want to leave the earth on a silk-ridden road, with a vintage scarf wrapped around my neck. So vintage that I can't get the smell of someone else out of it. I'll trail and glide with the wind, and just before I step onto the edge of eternity, I'll yield to the mystery of who wore the scarf before me, and I'll die in wonder and ease into my imagination once again. What part of my body holds the most? I need to know.
That was incredible. Thank you so much, Holly. That was, everyone feel free to let Holly know what you know or feel in the chat. So nice. I really love how our devices can connect us to nature like that, and to see it like the flowers on the display. It's so incredible. Right. All right, thank you everyone for being here. Holly, feel free to put your info where people can find more of your writing and work in the chat. We'd love to connect you with the audience here. So you can share your Instagram or website or whatever you feel. Next performer, I'm really excited. He's recently moved to Austin, originally from South Dakota. I met him in Los Angeles. Lance Robotson has been performing poetry for over 20 years, originally from Lake Traverse Reservation in South Dakota. Today, he is an aspiring computer scientist and is currently based in Austin, Texas. So yeah, everyone give it up for Lance Robotson.
Hi, everybody. I thank you very much for inviting me to perform. So Marshall has done this in the past before. He had a poetry show in Los Angeles and invited me to come out to support him through some of our mutual friends. And I found it was very inspiring then, and now I'm also very inspired. Of course, being in this sort of Zoom land and lockdown and stuff for so long, I hadn't really done a lot of, kind of artistic stuff lately. But so when you asked me to perform in this thing, I decided to, start working on some new stuff. And I want to just present a few things today that I've been working on. So I have 3 pieces to read here, and I'll just get to it, but I'll tell you a little more about it as I go on here. So let me bring up the first one here. It goes like this. In steep blue-hued bottoms of ravines and shallow pools, a cobra with rippling fins strolls like a dream, and skittering creatures creep in clusters across the valley floor, slinking beneath treasured branches, lurking within the shade. Intoxicating milkmen of bloomed, jeweled carpets dance through knee-high clumps of milkweed. Lit fiery blooms crowning red heather, golden witch hazel, the oak trees burn bright green to accent their dark heart, thorns rubbing sweetgrass in between their horns, offering their wicked perfume as the moth's wings caress the air, nodding a ride to whatever predator picks them off the dry, thirsty soil, swinging with reckless grace through shimmering caverns of woods, eclipsing the rising moon, turning when the sun grows angry, always in readiness, focused on that which has waited so long, the march from shadow to shadow, a curse like tears falling in 1,000 wells of gold, raising the stink of panic in the wind as it flows across the mountains, filled with soaring birds and a glory so powerful that it only knows madness, only smiles that wring the fear from the heart of the last hunter who whispers a prayer that he may not fall dead in the middle of the noonday sands of dervishes buried by the rising sun. That's the first one. And so just as a kind of a note, I wanted to sort of offer you guys some of that first before I really tell you about it. And the kind of the trick of it, the surprise reveal is that I wrote this in combination with a computer algorithm called, or a neural network writing tool called GPT-2. And so in a kind of a collaborative process of sort of getting it to sort of create random strings of words and feeding them back into itself, and then it tries to take the input and predict what should come next. And then I kind of go through this collaborative editorial process of this machine creating this work. And it's sort of, but it's kind of a collaboration because I have to sort of, I feel like the act of poetry is happening in the collaboration, that I'm recognizing it doing something poetic and making the choice to, keep it going or not. And that one I thought was really nice because it had a lot of this sort of naturalistic imagery, though I didn't want you to handicap it to know that it was a computer poem exactly. So I wanted to just read it first. Kind of like you hear the orchestra play and then they tell you a computer wrote it afterwards, Yeah, you pull the words out of a hat and say, this is Dada, or whatever, you know. Okay, so, but I have a couple more, and this one, it's more of like a road poem, which I think was appropriate for Marshall's project here. And the computer decided that this one has a title, so it's called Antioch. Okay, it goes like this. This must be what it's like to drive blindfolded through a forest, lurching in a dilapidated van through potholes and breakdowns, twisting and turning with directionless exits, dead ends, and high-speed slowdowns. Hushed voices of sparrows and cicadas grow ever more increasingly detached and hollering from concealed cavities, repeating incantations to their fellow inquisitive creatures, ringing and echoing through tree branches and undergrowth until the van ground to a halt, the voice of the birds muted by the silence of the end of their song, and my sight recovered by that maddening bray of the exhaust. I, too, will hear this musical voice. When the stormy winds blow stark naked in your pitch darkness, thou wilt shiver and tremble like a crow upon a rotten log, sitting still for the crickets and jackdaws to clamor and implore you to join them in their seraphic constellations. Sky heavy with rain clouds and white ash drifts, no points of light except from this glowing orb of the last diner in this town of Babylon, where the sign's blinking red light provides a caustic cue signaling that you have to get up in order to eat. That fire and hash is such an enticing way to end a day, to do away with all inhibitions and remain fully clothed with the communal glow and tall tales that find their way back to your own meager fire and lay broken upon the ashes of this hallowed earth. There are fewer places now that way to share a meal like that, your tab being just an amount of burn too high for you to correct, but too small for this truly ironic writer to steal the generous thought. So he wipes the bowl clean like good neighbors and heads for home. So the poem, the machine likes to be a good neighbor. The machine's a truly ironic writer. I thought that was quite amusing. But, you know, it has some motifs in it of travel and such, and I thought that was appropriate. So this final piece I'd like to read to you is a little, it's untitled. I quite like it. I've been doing this for about a week and kind of picking through different ones, and this was one of the favorite ones that I wanted to share with. So it's as much of me as in this as like this machine, but I didn't actually write any of these words, but it's sort of you see yourself reflected back through this kind of, you know, these language models are like these hyper condensed linguistic artifacts of like being trained on billions of textual documents created by human beings. And so anything that you kind of get out of it that you can see something of yourself or your own sensibility or voice in is quite remarkable to me. So this is the last one that I'll share with you guys. So it goes like this. Glassed marble abodes built with ruthless social efficiency, the sweet impressions of age and fame, dusting their outer selves, rose-encrusted with radiant splendor, riding steeds of aphrodisiac spiritualism, praising saber-toothed tigers and poser necromancy, truly innocent of society's sadistic strivings, compressible into oblivion, curious and ecstatic, of arbitrary vileness and awesome intelligence, of gaslight and hourglass motifs, and anapoetic squawks, a skeletal choir awash in glaring desert glint, unburdened by overt innocence, rich with strange eccentricity omnivorous and holistic in ritual actions, destined to flow like tides of salt pans, preaching the eternal curative powers of Harpy's bile, wrapped in a rich gilded cocoon of teeth and blood and nictitating membranes, when solar observances twist through the thickening night, breathing fire into the claustrophobic fog of overgrown monuments built with sweet hospitality, speaking of symmetry and right angles cut into the curves of Doom's statue, reflecting wooden shards and rat droppings, incongruously melding blood, glitter, and molten iron, contented with South-loathing and coven humor, swearing at the sky with bestial vigor, poisonous spittle sprays in their path, an ancient chorus ranting and guffawing, embracing us with an utterly monstrous laughter, but in the roiling waters of the convulsive heart there is no splash, only the sound of the last dying roar that pierced through our stupor, causing the amnesia probing at our still flourishing brain erupting, sobering us from our delusions of nihilism. Thank you. That is what I have prepared. So I hope that was as enjoyable for you guys to hear as it was for me to encounter. And thank you for the opportunity again. I'm Lance Robotson. Thanks again, Marshall. And thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, loved it, Lance. Thank you so much. That I can't believe the places that computer and you took us. That was incredible. I see the chat, everyone in the chat is like congratulating you on that journey. My mom actually commented, she said, fascinating word combinations, meaning nothing and everything. And I feel like that was like the perfect comment to end with, the poem ended with nihilism. And it's just like, ooh.
That's kind of how I write anyway, my own stuff. You don't really have much to compare it to. But,
yeah.
But yeah, everything and nothing is kind of like my gestalt,
Yeah. Yeah, Darcy said you're this generation's Ginsberg, and I was saying, oh, it's a 21st century like Burroughs cut up, and it's in response to John talking about the digital process. That was amazing. Thank you so much. So we're gonna do something a little bit different now. Our next performer is set up at Tomorrow Today Bookstore in Los Angeles. Her name's Kendra Adler, and she's a multidisciplinary artist and somatic movement facilitator, using movement to investigate the connection between Earth and the human body. So Word is Movement is her project, and it's a somatic movement practice that unlocks the power of words to transform the body and mind. The body is a vast resource for each of us, so it contains the innate ability to heal, to create, and to share. WHAM, or Word is Movement, is a mind-body process that helps to unravel the old so that we can embrace the new through word, movement, and a connection to the natural world. So if you feel so inclined, maybe step back from your desk or find some open space. We're gonna be led by Kendra and do some movements, or you could do it from sitting in your chair. But yeah, I'd like to introduce Kendra Adler, who will be taking us on this movement and poetry exercise in this multiverse Zoom world.
One moment, we're just sorting out the sound. Okay. Hello, everyone. Connected in it? It is, yeah. Okay.
To sit on a rock and watch the sea, there's nothing any more pretty. Temples rise from clouds, seated on these ancient woods, home of former gods. The earth offers gifts, abundance at rainbow's end, revealed by the storm. High in the alpine, mind blooms with wildflowers, special kind of bliss. Well, back on I-10, heading to LA. Can't wait to see the ocean.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for witnessing me. Marshall, can you make sure that you can hear me?
Yep, we hear you great. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Wonderful. Hi. We have an audience here at the store, so this will be interesting to do a dual connection. For people who might have been wondering what was happening, I was embodying the words of Marshall's haikus. And that is a practice that I offer called Word as Movement. And I'm going to do that with you all. I'm going to help you get back into your body and move the written word. So we're going to get in touch with how the words vibrations resonate in your own field and how words move you. Often reading might feel quite still, but there's so much happening internally. And I'm sure you've felt that before in your life when you're reading a piece of work and it feels activating, energizing. It brings a range of emotions to your heart that maybe exist in your body elsewhere. So I'd love for everyone to get up on their 2 feet or stay where they are seated, but I'd love for you to participate with me. And I'm gonna lead us in about a 10-minute guided word exploration with our bodies. So if you wanna stand up if you're not, but again, if it's up to you, you can sit down, you can do it from your seat. I understand we all have different abilities and needs in this present moment. So take the care that you need. And so wherever you are, we're gonna do a little sensory walk through the space. So people here, you're invited to move throughout the space with one another. Everyone on Zoom, in your room, wherever you are, begin to walk around in your space with your body. And let yourself become curious with what is around you. Right now, there's quite a breeze, maybe making contact with the wind. Where do you know that you're receiving information from the wind, possibly the air moving through your space? And with your eyes starting to notice something in your space that attracts your attention. Maybe it's a word, maybe it's a color, the way that the light is hitting the wall. And just see, as you notice this thing that draws your curiosity, how does it feel in your body? Maybe taking a deep breath in and noticing that subtlety that exists when you receive this sensory information. And as you move through your space, in light of this book release about travel and journey, I'd love for you in your imagination, in your memory bank, in this present moment, get in touch with a journey, a travel that you've had, maybe today, maybe you walked somewhere, maybe a trip you took recently, and get in touch with that journey. And as I voice this word journey or travel, I'd love for you to explore what journey is in your body. So if you're here, maybe this is new, but maybe you can move what that moment felt like for you. So whatever ability you have, whatever sensation is alive for you, let your body show you what textures live in this understanding you have of journey. Maybe you're acting out a scene in your journey. Maybe it's more of a somatic understanding, this warmth you might have felt, maybe the discomfort on your journey. And if you can, let it move through you. We're bringing this consciousness, this intelligence we have of consciousness into our bodies and allowing our body to shape and inform what we know, maybe what we don't know. Maybe there's more to know about what we think we know. And since I can't, there's no feedback right now, at least from the Zoom world, I'd love to take us back into the score that I started with and allow you the space to receive the haikus in your own space and move to them however feels right for you in this moment. Maybe it's receiving the sound and the words in stillness. Although our body is constantly in motion, it's never quite still. Or maybe you feel like expressing the words. But I'm gonna play the soundtrack, the score one more time to give you the opportunity to embody the word, the vibration of Marshall's poetry. So if you bear with me for one moment, I'm gonna play the score again. Sit on a rock and watch the sea. There's nothing anymore pretty. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Before we leave each other, I'd love for you to share in the chat something that, thank you, that arrived in your body, a curiosity, a question, a word, anything. I'd love for you to share that with the community here today so that you can be witnessed in the written word as well as the moving body. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Kendra.
Woohoo!
That was amazing.
Thank you, everyone here.
You can hear us now.
So cool you have a live audience too in front of you. Not just
yeah, I don't know if I did a very good job, but I was more focused on the Zoomers.
No, you were great. If you could also tell the people who are tuning in from the California area about an event that you're hosting next week. I think they'd love to check it out.
Yeah, if you are here in the Los Angeles area, I will be hosting a more full experience that you just got to experience on June 2nd, 10 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, of course, at the LA Historic State Park, which is also here in Chinatown. And I've been really inspired by a novel called Braiding Sweetgrass. So we will be working with a chapter in that book and using her literary information as a place to investigate our own connection to certain words such as indigenous, creation, and naturalized. It'll make more sense if you decide to come, but she is a native botanist whose work is bridging those two worlds. So yeah, it'd be amazing if you could join me. If you're interested, you can email me and I can write my email in the chat if you'd like to know more information as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kendra. And thank you everyone who really stepped into that movement. I saw a lot of people finding their space and getting into those words. Yeah, you can also, Kendra, please share your socials so people can follow you on Instagram and elsewhere. Yeah, that was amazing. I really like the idea of taking these, well, any form of poetry reading into like new forms and really exploring other realms, especially in this digital world that we're all sharing right now. Our next performers are also going to be sharing a movement piece. They're Erin C. White and Ethan Foote, and they're both based in Washington, D.C. They're performers that I've performed many times in the past with, and this was a collaboration that they did as well in response to haikus from this new book that has come out. So you'll hear my voice voicing the haikus, and then you'll see movements by Erin C. White, and you'll hear upright bass by Ethan Foote. So let me cue that up, and thank you everyone for being here. We have a few more performances left, so stay tuned. It's going to be really fun. Here's Erin C. White and Ethan Foote with more movement to haiku.
A good friend once said, "The moon speaks for the glaciers. Earth hardly listens." The ancients were here. Windows open to old worlds. Now the ancients sleep. The peaks of mountains, scales a dead giveaway, stone dragons sleeping. Totally unreal. Sometimes landscapes are like paintings. Time with calm brushstrokes. Spiraling out is the mind of a dream poet, standing in sunshine.
All right. Thank you guys. That was a collaboration by Ethan Foote and Erin C. White. Movement to haiku. I love it. Yeah, so it's been a fun evening. We got a few more performances left. Really excited about our next performer, John Brantingham. I met him because he actually wrote a review for this new book, Travel by Haiku, and I really feel like he caught the pulse of like, you know, the haikus and I guess like, I don't know. I feel like writing is always like a conversation with other writers and very easily inspired by different generations of writers. So I feel like he really caught the wind of the beatniks that is present throughout the book. And you know, shouted out to Gary Snyder in his review, which I was flattered by because I'm a big fan of Gary Snyder. So our next performer, John Brantingham, was Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park's first poet laureate, which is so cool. If you haven't been to Kings Canyon or Sequoia National Park, please go. Amazing parks, amazing spaces in California. His work has been featured in hundreds of magazines, Writer's Almanac, and the Best Small Fictions 2016. His 19 books of poetry, which is amazing, and fiction, including his latest, Life Orange to Pear. He teaches at Mount San Antonio College. So everyone give a round of applause to John Brantingham. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Marshall, thank you so much, and congratulations on the book. That's just, it's amazing. It's a fantastic book too. I truly love it. And I think, you know, it continues on with that tradition that Gary Snyder and Jack Kerouac and all those other people were continuing, but not starting. So you know, that whole road travel nature environment thing. And you know, I'm nursing an injury, so I wish I could have danced just now, but I'll dance in a couple of weeks by myself, thinking about this. So that was some really wonderful stuff. I'm going to read a couple of poems here from Crossing the High Sierra. And okay, so I think that the only thing you have to know about this, you might already know this, is that people cannot see the color blue unless they have the word for the color blue, right? It's a human anomaly. And so if you don't know the word, you can't see it. And so go explore that idea a little bit. This is called the Meditation on the Trail to Heather Lake. And Heather Lake being I think the most beautiful place in the High Sierra. I always tell people that Sequoia is a lot like Yosemite, only it's pretty. And this is my favorite spot in all of Sequoia. Meditation on the Trail to Heather Lake. 1, I realized that when I left in the pre-dawn, I waved to my wife and she smiled at me. But since she stood in the light on the porch and I sat in the dark of the car, she doesn't know I waved. I realized that although I've lived with her for the last 20 years, there's much of Anne I don't know. I realized that I have total faith in gravity, but I have no idea how it works, and neither does anyone else. I wish I knew, because it would be a relief to have a break from it now and then. I tried to pretend to Anne one time that I knew what gravity was, gave a long technical explanation that made her laugh, because she was so surprised by me, had no idea what I was going to say, because there's so much of me that she doesn't know, an interior galaxy I keep in my secret Freudian space. 2, when I tell Anne my ideas, she says I'm 1 in a million. But in a world of 7 billion, that means there are 7,000 people just like me. And I've never met anyone just like me. There's a great big group of people out there, my tribe, and I will never know them, never meet them. They live in places I will never even imagine. They will be as mysterious to me, more so even than Anne. They know things I will never hear of, see things I will never think of. I will be like one of those people who can't see blue, because their language has no word for it. When they're shown color charts, they can't distinguish it simply because their parents never educated them. To them, the sea is green and the sky is white. Those 7,000 people out there who are just like me can probably see a color that I can't. And they could teach me the word for that shade halfway between purple and mud that I see as brown, and I could teach them blue. But now that will never happen because I'll never meet them. And anyway, their language is about to go extinct. So no one will know the color halfway between purple and mud. And in fact, that's the color of my eyes. That is, I decide the nature of everything. 3, everything is mysterious to me. And everyone else in the world, even this woman I love. Who knows, maybe there's even a word for a hiatus from gravity. And if we knew it, we could turn somersaults in the blue sky. Maybe she doesn't even know the color of my eyes. And if she doesn't, I don't know how to explain them to her. When I get back this afternoon, maybe I'll ask her, and she'll smile and nod, hiding the fact that I'm mysterious to her. And that's the fun of it, maybe. Okay, so I got next up is a sonnet about a place called Wolverton, and it's a quim. I like that. It's about a half mile away from the world's biggest tree, which is the General Sherman tree. It's where we get to camp every summer. By the way, if you ever want to join us, we run free programs in Sequoia, and we write poetry in the woods amongst the big giant trees. Just contact me. Okay, so this is just after dawn, Wolverton Camp. I drank too much last night, laughed too much, ate more than was good for me. I do that too often. We all do. And this morning, my eyes are bright with dawn, and I'm blowing steam, stomping like a horse who hates the long wait in his paddock. No one's moving, so I take my hangover, my garbage sack belly, and trudge, without even a pack, up the side of the mountain, puffing because yesterday and 46 years of nights like that, and there's never been a morning like this one. I am alone unless you count the raccoons, scrub jay, deer, and the whole cast. Just me sweating last night's sin. Just me walking where I've never been, going home. I'm gonna do one more. This is the dream of water. The last year of childhood is a dreaming year, when a boy can still walk on the edge of the King's River, stare into it, and let his mind turn to silence. His eyes flit at anything that breathes oxygen or carbon, trees and squirrels and birds. Each carries its own sacred river, and his legs mumble through the ferns along the path drawn downward always, so he can be near where all the water of the forest goes after it has washed through us for a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for taking us to the High Sierra. What a beautiful place. I love the silence when you look into Kings River. Do you want to tell everyone again about or where they can find out about the programming you do in Sequoia?
Well, you can go to our website. My website is johnbrantingham.com, and you can email me. Because I'm old, I have an AOL address, which is johnmbrantingham@aol.com. I was cool in the 90s, but not so much anymore. Also, very, very briefly, we're up on volunteer.gov because it's a volunteer program. Ann says that we're already down. But if you contact me, I'll figure out ways to get you up there. And we just wander through the woods and write poems about things that we see. And we chase bears when they come into camp. That's a really important thing to do. All right. So thank you so much, Marshall.
Yeah, thank you, John. Amazing. All right. So we have 2 more performances left. I'll read one more passage from Travel by Haiku. If you guys are tuning in, we're celebrating Travel by Haiku. If you didn't order a copy yet, you can get one through the bookstore that's co-hosting tonight. Their website is tomorrowtoday.us. Check it out. They got a bunch of cool stuff on there. As Gus mentioned, they specialize in like sci-fi and then also political, direct action, niche political type stuff that's really important. A lot of environmentalist things as well. So yeah, please check out their website, and you can order a copy of Travel by Haiku or anything else that they offer. You can also stop by the store in Chinatown if you live in the Los Angeles area. All right, so this is another travel fiction piece, journeying deeper into the woods from Travel by Haiku, volumes 6 through 10, Far Out on the Road with Friends. I've noticed my outward appearance begin to reflect my surroundings. My black t-shirt growing bleach-stained roots, a button-down printed with tiny tents among pine trees, a sweater with quilted fabric weaving it all together, and a new jean jacket camouflaged in ferns. Certainly normal for a dream poet, this reality blending into a collage of natural wonder, the body becoming just another piece of the forest. Blue, a fellow haiku poet from Philadelphia, told me at the beginning of this crazy adventure over 2 years ago, "Find your woods, Deerfield, find your woods." I always took it to mean find yourself. Never realized the self could ultimately become the woods. 3 days in Glacier National Park, and I returned to the hike that I took in the park 2 years ago. When I first ventured into this wilderness fresh from Philadelphia, joined by Antonio Bandolini and Joe Simeon on my first road trip across the country. The trail is to Avalanche Lake, a turquoise blue wonder beneath melting glaciers, seated high above on freshly scarred peaks. The hike starts out in an old growth grove of cedar trees, some 1,000 years old, some older. Walking amongst these elders reminds me of the many hikes with redwoods and Douglas firs that I've taken in the last 2 years since that first road trip. Things I hadn't even imagined existed yet that first time through. There's something about trees that old. They remain sacred through multiple human generations. Here are trees that the Kootenai and Salish people, indigenous to this area, revered as ancestors several centuries ago, stewarding their growth and passing on those traditions to their relatives today. I feel like I'm arriving home, not to any place in particular, but more to that feeling my heart gets when communing with giant trees of ancient eras. And here I am, standing in awe, when I notice a little sign next to one of the elders. On it is a drawing. Written beside the drawing is a little haiku. Of course, I burst out laughing. I follow the trail farther into the grove, and there are more drawings on more signs and more corresponding haikus. Some of them even similar to the haikus I just wrote in my notebook. It's as if this sacred space is made for me. It's as if I were in a dream, as if manifested from the magic that can only be found amongst the oldest of trees. 2 years ago on that road trip, I found the name Deerfield and became a haikuist. Did I notice these haikus when I stumbled down this trail the first time? Did this place inspire me to write them? Are these haikus mine? Earth writes its own poetry. We poets do our best to repeat as much of it back as we can. The longer we go about this process, the further open our hearts grow. Someday, maybe becoming as wide as the branches of an ancient cedar. Thanks. So our next performer is Stephanie Beattie, another writer that has haikus featured in this new collection. Stephanie Beattie is an artist, designer, and editor who specializes in interdisciplinary storytelling. She investigates social and systemic processes via the written word, installed performance, and interactive media. And this is a video piece that she made for Travel by Haiku that kind of, it addresses the seasons changing. It's about coming out of winter. So this is a piece by Stephanie Beattie titled On the End of Winter.
This blue screen glowing is not winter. It won't make room for longer days. What is hidden? What is unseen yet still exists, spring inside winter? As such, a window through the snow and sky and trees looks out on flowers, objects collected before an unseeing eye, shadows the sun leaves. In the shadows lives our own vital stuff, pulsing through hidden channels. Buds swelling openly, now the ice melts in earnest, running from sap springs, seeds warm in the ground. Is it too soon to be born into this cold world? A woman reading stone tablets in the garden hums beneath her veils. A gate opens behind her, and without stepping, she is already gone. Am I not drinking the same sweet water as my ancestors swam in? Am I not turning like the turn of brittle branch to leaf wand yearly? Are we giving you back what we have taken from you, even as we take? Transform in which way? Both violence and decay are matters of speed. Death is a gift you give to the skin of life stretched across the planet. Emerge to find you are not the only ears to hear the tree fall sound. Hum, the flies say, keep up with the warm sun, find dew, do the deed and die. How long can life be? Just enough time to get to know the place, not even. Why do we think we have arrived when endlessly we are departing? Gone woman walking off on some byway many call home, but not her. Old rags can cling on and hang wound up round the branch, unknowing stranglers. But the branch drops fruit like so many raindrops, a cup overflowing, and the cup filling full spills over the edge and feeds tiny monsters. The tiny ones feed Leviathan. Not enough tigers to go around, you know. An appetite for rare foods reveals extinction as carnal pleasure. But how to eat well when nothing is abundant yet, before spring comes? Oh, night with a waning moon, setting early, oh, universal turning, moon set over evening tree, empty clothesline, empty sky, sometimes haunted by pilots, hurling forward in great hops, jet trails, streaking bright hydrocarbon clouds. Who knew our brush could cover such enormous canvas? Why should Atlas try to carry this world? It seems a senseless burden. The earth holds herself in orbit. The sun holds his path among the stars. This blue screen glowing is not winter. It won't make room for longer days.
All right, that was Stephanie Beattie. You can find more of her work on her website, lakeswholelakes.com. More video and also a recent digital release of a magazine. We have one more performer. Our last piece is by Phoenix. Phoenix is an LA-based multidisciplinary artist with a focus on movement through filmmaking and sound. Through her understanding and quest to learn through mythology, symbology, ancient traditions, and astrology, she creates worlds that assist us in deepening our understanding and connection to consciousness. A content warning for this next video. There is some mild nudity. So yeah, discretion advised, viewer discretion advised. The film depicts a person bathing in a stream. So please enjoy. This next video is called Cleanse, and it's by Phoenix. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you for being here for Travel by Haiku's LA launch. Thank you for sharing that cleanse.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Loved it. Loved it. Woohoo. Wonderful.
Now we are in the after party section of the evening. So thank you, everyone. You can unmute yourself. Feel free to express and share.